I like to eat a hard. I mean, this is not a gummy episode. We're going to talk about some crazy stuff later on, but this is we got a hard-boiled egg episode. Why a hard-boiled egg, you ask?
As I mentioned, Marcus Escudero.
The protein. It's always about the protein. Right? You got 7 grams of protein in here. You fucking fire out like maybe 5 of these joints in the morning. Now you got 35 grams. Right? You want to hit your body weight.
Nice.
75% of your body weight. You see? So you get 35 grams early in the morning. You drink a nice protein shake. You got 45 grams there. Now you got 90 some odd. Get yourself some chicken up in you. This is all fucking free advice, by the way. I don't need to be telling you this.
Last November on Showbox. So we saw Joe.
Was that gross? Oh, man. Probably sounded gross.
Marcus, I want to ask you.
Okay, so this is going to be a good one, because this is going to be for the people that say I'm just coming at Eddie Hearn sideways for no reason, for no apparent reason other than being a hater, right? Okay, so if that is the case, then this interview should not even exist, right? These kind of ramblings of a crazy person should not exist. I've never heard anything like this before. Right? Listen, and we typically won't do this on this show. We're not going to sit here and break down somebody else's interview and somebody else's work, right? Because we're not fucking hacks on this show. But we ain't got access to Eddie Hearn right now. He's all the way over there, wherever the hell fuck he's from. He's in the backyard right now, and he's doing what he's doing. But here's the problem. He's talking utter nonsense. He goes into breaking down Showtime's schedule, and I mean, listen, right? The obvious point is that the hypocrisy is off the charts, right? But this is how he's tricking you, because some of the shit that he said in this interview was so crazy, so outlandish, that you can't even pinpoint where do you begin untangling this disaster that this is. But he digs into Showtime's schedule, and he goes on to say it's a polished turd. He says, Steph Fulton, Angelo Leo, who, it's not such a big deal, this fight, right? I like that fight. This fight's coming up tomorrow. I like it. I dig it. 2 undefeated guys. You got Steph Fulton coming in fighting fucking however many undefeated people, 9 in a row. Angelo Leo. I like the fight. He favors the he favors the Tank pay-per-view over the Charlo brother doubleheader, which I find to be odd. This interview is chock full with stuff, so we're going to get it. We're going to jump right into it, because we're going to just kind of take you through this entire thing and listen to it. Okay, but nonetheless, credit to Boxing Social, credit to Rob Tebbit. This is good stuff here. So let's go through this.
This is Rob Tubbett for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Eddie Hearn. We're down at Fight Camp here in lovely sunny Essex. Eddie, how are you?
I'm good. I suppose it looks a bit different to when you were here last time. I was joking earlier that, I think last time we just had a little poxy ring in the middle and everyone was probably thinking, this is a bit naff. And I hope that when you turned up today, you went, wow, like I did a few days ago. And I think like the fighters are now, and for the next 4 weeks, this is the home of boxing.
Certainly is a different feel from obviously when we came down a couple of weeks ago. Ring is a little bit bigger. It seems like there's been more work that's been done. How big of a challenge has this been just this week?
Not just this week, but over the last, it's probably been 3 months. Sometimes people look at a problem as one problem, but really it's loads of little problems wrapped into one. So you have to just work day by day, overcoming each of those problems and those hurdles. And having now seen the fighters pass their tests yesterday, I got mine this afternoon, fingers crossed.
He doesn't even know if he's got COVID or not. No, my bad. He doesn't know if he's got COVID or not, and he's infecting this Rob guy. This is the beginning of the problems of this interview.
We're there. We're nearly there. We know the weather's going to be good for this one, at least. And that's just the key. Just get through the event now. Drive the interest, make sure people tune in. and then ultimately drive hopefully what will be a great event on Saturday night.
Now, before we come on to talking about the event on Saturday night, something I've been keen to ask you about, other people maybe not as keen to find out as I am, but Matchroom have upped their game somewhat in lockdown. You've had your rebrand, you've got a new website. Talk us through those changes and how you've been forced to kind of think about things a little bit more digitally with the lockdown.
I just think that, obviously the digital movement is important, but it's really given us an opportunity to focus on where we're going as a business. And sometimes you get so wrapped up in the buzz of live events, you never really get a chance to sit back, talk to the team and plan the future. The rebrand and the focus of that is very straightforward. We're making a move to be the sole player in boxing. And, people say it's not possible.
Now listen, this quote already in boxing is super controversial, right? The idea, we've spoke about it on this channel, the idea that Eddie Hearn is going to be the guy to take over boxing, to, be the Dana White to boxing's UFC. This is already a controversial thing, but this is, I'm telling you, it's the tip of the iceberg. You're going to watch this interview no matter what. You might as well hang out with me and watch it. Let's watch some more.
That's the move for us. It has to be the move. And we're trying to be slicker. We're trying to be better. We're trying to copy the UFC on a lot of things, which I always joke about, but it's the truth. I'm such a huge admirer of their content, their branding, their presence, everything. And we want everything.
I don't want to get too lost in the weeds with this UFC thing, but again, we're trying to copy the UFC with the. How about with the fighters' pay? Right? I'm talking to inside sources. I'm talking to fighters themselves. Nobody's saying they're taking a pay cut in certain places. We've got big fights coming up. Are we copying the UFC's model as it relates to fighters' pay? People on record, I've got people from PBC, from Showtime. I've got people from Top Rank. We've got people from Matchroom. We don't want to get lost in the weeds. There's so much here.
That we do feel like it's major. And that's really the ethos behind Fight Camp. When I see people going in studios and I see people going empty casinos, I don't criticise that because they're doing it. They're getting out there. They're making it happen. But it's not for us. Like, if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to lose money, then I want it to have a huge impact. And I know that broadcasters, fans will be watching this from around the world saying, Matchroom are major players. And that's what's important to me. I want to deliver something that others can't. And show me someone else that's delivering something like this in boxing. It's not existing.
This is how Eddie will fucking fuck your head up. If you're not paying attention in an interview, he's got you out there. You got the nice view, the breeze, and he's pointing and stuff like that. He can fuck you up if you're not paying attention, because you'll start thinking while you're interviewing him like, yeah, you know what? It is better. This is better, but you'll lose sight of the actual fight schedule, right? So he's already got you going with the fact that, yeah, it looks nice out. This looks nice. We're not going to front. This looks nice, right? But now he's going to try and go the extra mile and shit on Showtime's schedule, which to me is, that's why we're here.
You mentioned that about kind of losing money, and I know you've kind of mentioned it around certain other interviews with regards to this. How much of a hit is this going to be on you, and why are you okay with doing it?
One, we've got no choice. Two, I'm not prepared. We've had a great 10 years. We've had a great last 5 years. We've made a lot of money. So you have to understand that sometimes, things just aren't rosy every single day. You build a solid business and you build the foundations of a business and you build cash reserves in a business to be able to withstand the peaks and troughs that others can't. So when you have to make an investment to maintain the momentum that you've worked so hard to build the last 10 years, then you do it. If you don't, and you go, I'm going to go on holiday and we'll come back next year, someone might overtake me. Someone might forget about me. Someone might forget about our fighters. Sky might say, what the fuck are they doing? The Zone might go, where's Matchroom? We're a vehicle, we're noise, and we have to keep that noise going consistently, but we have to keep creating compelling content. You would have seen promos, I think, for every single fight that we've produced. And it's just that.
I don't know what he means by that. I'm not sure. Sometimes the people in the UK throw me for a loop. So he says you would have seen promos for every fight that we would have shot. I think he means that you've already seen it, like they've been produced. I don't know. You guys throw me for a loop with that. Or is he saying that the fights are of a good enough magnitude that we would have cut separate promos for each and every? I don't know. Here is the point, though. He is he's full of shit. He's full of shit, and he should know it. He should know it. And he's talking to this guy right now and selling him a line of shit, and he's getting ready to dump the biggest one on him, right? While we're talking about dumps and turds and shit, right? Let's get past the Frank Warren part because I'm less concerned with that. I think the meat and potatoes is with Showtime. He's still talking about old Frankie Fish Eyes here. Oh, okay. So that was the point I wanted to make. So here's what I'm not understanding. He's talking about cash reserves. He's saying we're dumping more money into it because we made a lot of money. Is it not that the zone pays for these cards in advance? Don't they? I mean, is it not that they have a budget that they're working with? Right? Like, are we to think that it's coming out of Eddie Hearn's actual pocket, or that this is all? I'm assuming this is coming from the budget that the zone has provided, right? Because if in the case of Canelo, or in the case of Canelo and Golden Boy, we know that based on Thomas Hauser's article, they're offering $40 million per show. I would imagine it would be the same in Hearn's case, no? And if that is the case, and he's, I mean, flat out saying it, that in the middle of a pandemic, he's over-investing to the looks of things, to the backyard, as opposed to the fighters and as opposed to the quality of fights. What are you telling people? Are you telling people that you're going to trick them with, nice landscaping and trickeries? Or what? I don't understand this. If you're already paid up and you're not coming out of pocket, why not put the money into the actual fights if that's what the complaint is? And even then, why would you spend any time, like he's about to, I'm sorry, but why would you spend any time shitting on Showtime's schedule?
If we had this card
finally
in a normal fight night, we would peak at 100,000, right? Something like that. I'm looking for 200,000 plus, and that would be a big achievement for a card like this. But I've put a lot of work in. I'd be devastated if it didn't, and if it does only 100 or less, we might have a problem. You know what I mean? But I don't believe so, because I know every time I walk out for a coffee or for a bite to eat or to a supermarket, people are coming to me going, when's that thing in your garden? That's mental. When's fight camp starting? That's called building a brand. That's called building interest. That's called driving energy and narrative into what you do. And I hope it's worked. And we'll find out on Sunday morning at about 10 a.m. when the figures come in.
You expect to see Mike Coppinger tweeting the barb figures with such vigour as he's done with the others?
He's already come on to me going, oh, have you seen these numbers? Have you seen these numbers? I'm going to be reporting your numbers. And I thought, shit. And I was like, Mike, if they're good, can you report them? If they're not, can you not? So he's a bit brutal on that. But I guess that's the... in a way, it's their job, but they're so surprising, the numbers, that I think they've shocked people. But they don't know it's happening. Do you know what I mean?
Eddie's being a little cheeky here. He's being a little cheeky. I like what this Rob Tebbett's saying, though, the reporter. He sneaks that question in. You'd almost miss it if you weren't paying attention. Right? He says, do you expect Coppinger to quote the numbers with as much vigor as he did in prior events or whatever? It's a great question. Coppinger all up and down Twitter, right? When the Frank Warren shows bombed. And Eddie's hopeful that the coverage is favorable. I get the feeling it might be. I don't know.
But they don't know it's happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't believe, like, even Warren shows, I'm not saying they're dreadful in the current environment. No one knows they're on. And that's a major problem.
Now, we've spoken about the fights on this card in a previous interview. We are limited for time today, so I'm going to move on to other business. Showtime Sports announced their schedule coming back. 8 world title fights, 9 world champions. I know you would have seen it. What did you make of their schedule?
I had a little back and forward with old Stevie Baby. I think, again, like, fair play to them. if you're going to ask me honestly what I think about it, outside of the 2 pay-per-view events, tell me a fight you're looking forward to. Actually, no, because Nonito Donaire and thingy's not too bad. But let's go through the others.
Okay, so he's a very tricky person. Outside of the 2 pick, because if he allowed the guy to answer it, I'm sure he would have just rattled them all off. But outside of the 2 pay-per-view events, tell me another fight that you're excited for. He knows the 2 pay-per-view events are, I mean, that one of the events is double headlined, right? So we are excited for Charlo Rosario. If, 3 belts on the line. We are excited for Derevyanchenko Charlo. And you know that we're excited for Tank Leo Santa Cruz. I actually disagree with what he's going to say here in saying that the Tank fight's bigger than the Charlo fight. I don't think that that's true. But yeah, he certainly knows that it's more than 2 fights, right? And he gave credit to the Donaire fight. And we know that the Steph Fulton fight to start it off is lit. So let's hear.
David Benavidez against Romar Angulo. No, awful fight. Chris Colbert, who I like Chris Colbert, but he's headlining an event against someone I never heard of. Stephen Fulton against Angeleo Leo. Sorry. But
with no explanation. Just sorry. 2 undefeated fighters, a strap on the line. Steph Fulton was in tough. You got a guy promoted by Mayweather Promotions. You've got some, he's already, as it is, Angelo Leo's already coming with some sort of, with some sort of cachet, some social cachet. Leonard Ellerby behind him, right? I can't imagine that would be, when you're putting on Eggington and Cheeseman, that you could shit on that kind of fight. I don't see it.
And I think
Lipinets Abdu Kakarov.
Right, easy for you to say. But
probably didn't say that right. Forgive me if I didn't.
I will say one thing. The Gervonta Davis, Leo Santa Cruz, and the Charlo events, strong night, strong events. Pay-per-view for Charlo, oh dear, watch the numbers. Gervonta Davis is a star. Gervonta Davis against Leo Santa Cruz, in my opinion, is a pay-per-view event.
I think he's wrong, man. You know what? I just think he couldn't be any more wrong. And I'm not expecting. See, that's the thing, is that I'm not expecting Tank to be able to put up better numbers than both Charlos. Any one of them, if it's just Tank up against the Derevyanchenko fight, I'd say, damn, I might even edge it to Tank. And if it's the same way with the Jermell fight. But there's I can't see it. Somebody explain that to me in the comments, how you think that the Tank fight's going to do better than the Charlo fight. I'm not buying it. And it's a bizarre take. But this isn't the worst of it. This is all easy peasy lemon squeezy.
And I think they've done a wonderful job. Listen, we're all guilty sometimes of, what do we say in England, polishing a turd, where you have, something and you dust it up to make it look great. What they did was really clever. They said, this is our schedule. And everyone come back and went, wow. But when you dissected it, I think old Coppinger got a bit of stick because he said, actually, what am I supposed to look forward to there again? But the 2 pay-per-view events are great nights. Charlo, even the Charlo night, it's not pay-per-view, but it's a really great night. I mean, Charlo Derevyanchenko.
He's got to be out of his mind. He's got to be out of his fucking mind. I would take a Charlo Derevyanchenko, Charlo Rosario fight from here on, like that kind of pay-per-view, that kind of main pay-per-view event, co-main headline, that formula. 2, competitive world championship level fights that organically, that happen the way they're supposed to happen. No bullshit with the rankings. No, let's move this around. These guys, it makes sense for these guys to fight. I think he's lost the plot, and I'm starting to get nervous because he was much better. Eddie Hearn was much better with spinning a tail. He wasn't prepared, or I don't know what the fuck's going on today. But when he was in New York, he would have fucked everybody up with these kinds of questions, with this line of questioning. And he is out here, literally and figuratively sweating back up against the fence. This is a rough spot for him. And you'll see that the interviewer continues to dig his heels in. He doesn't let him off the hook. I love it.
It's a really great night. I mean, Charlo Derevyanchenko's a good fight, and then you've got Charlo Rosario unification fight. So fair play to Stevie, baby. You know, we're not best buddies, and sometimes I want to just grab his cheeks and give him a little kiss. But it's going to be a while till I can do that again. But, you know.
We did interviews about a year ago, 18 months ago, where you basically said that Showtime wouldn't be around in boxing in 12, 18 months. Are you surprised?
12 to 18 months. A year ago. Okay, give me another 6 months.
12 months.
Yeah, give me another 6 months. There's no car.
Eddie, oh, this is great. I got to rewind this. It's so good. Now, this man, Rob Tebbett, he asks a question. He says, you said that Showtime would be under in 12 to 18 months, right? He said, I interviewed you about a year ago and you said that Showtime would fold within 12 to 18 months. Eddie, right off the bat, says he does the math. He's a sharp guy, right? So he's like, oh, a year ago, 18. Oh, I got 6 more months. Now, listen, we've got interviews with Eddie Hearn 18 months ago, 16 months ago, for sure. It's been since Matchroom USA started. And that's how he came into the States. You know, so if you want another 6 months, we'll toss you another 6. But we already know what's happening over the course of the next 6 months. I do agree with him. He's about to say that anybody can fold. I agree with that. I think that people don't really understand how serious this pandemic has affected our economics, period, in general, business, in the world, and especially in boxing. But he's fucking losing it. Let's listen.
Guarantee. Listen, we might not be around in boxing in 6 months' time. Boxing might not be around in 6 months' time. Fox might be out of boxing in 6 months' time. Like, anything can happen. I think you're very brave to think that Showtime have a deep, you know, long-term strategy in boxing. Because boxing's in trouble. Sport is in trouble. Content is in trouble. So, day by day. But you know, anyone that comes back, Showtime, Top Rank, Warren, fair play. Like, it ain't easy.
Listen,
so, good luck to them.
You know, you want to talk about polishing a turd. The end of this interview is what you, or the end of this quote right here is what you would call polishing a turd. He just shitted on Showtime the entire time and their schedule. And he adds in the fact that that nobody knows what's going to be happening in the next 6 months, which is a lie. We know the fights. Assuming barring any COVID infections or anything like that, we know what's going to be happening at Showtime for the next 6 months. It seems like with Fox's rollout that's coming up soon, we're starting to see information leaking now as it happens, right? And fights starting to be kind of announced. It seems like we know what they're going to be doing for the next few months too. Right? So, at the very least, there's something that a boxing fan can hang their hat on. They can see the schedule and say, okay, I can somewhat even plan my life around this. I want to be around for this fight. I want to make sure I'm in front of a TV. Can we do the same for the most part and for as long as we can with Showtime, with Matchroom, or with anything going on at the Zone? The answer is no. You know the answer is no. You can't even lie. He's very annoyed by this question, though.
Like, it ain't easy. So, good luck to him.
What's the latest on Canelo Alvarez? Obviously, we're waiting on an announcement from him. I'm told by Golden Boy that that's coming very, very, very soon. What's the latest?
I don't know. Look, we put our guys in the hat, you know, Bivol, Andrade, Ryder, Callum Smith. I believe he wants to fight Callum Smith. I do. I think September 12th is obviously unlikely now, but does it matter? Not really. And hopefully one of our guys get the pick. We're ready to go. They're all training. And it would be an honour to be selected as Canelo Alvarez's opponent.
Where does that leave Billy Joe Saunders?
I think if he can't fight Callum Smith, I think he'll fight Demetrius Andrade.
The stuff with Billy Joe Saunders, obviously we've seen him
here
recently get his fine for his video that came out during social media. We've seen him now miss out on the Canelo fight. Were these kind of the haphazard things that we discussed when you took him on in the first place?
You say he missed out on the Canelo fight. He wasn't willing to take less, and I don't think he would have been ready for September. So he wasn't really in the mix, to be honest with you. Everything was really rosy, right? He had.
All right, so you got to keep in mind too, in this interview, he's talking about, right? I don't even think anybody would argue the best fights that boxing has to offer right now that are signed on paper. Ink is dry. And every question that he's been asked thus far, He's given a non-answer. He doesn't know if Canelo's going to pick any of his fighters. He doesn't know if Luke Campbell's going to end up fighting Ryan Garcia. He doesn't seem to know much of anything. You would think that this would be a good time to say, hey, listen, man, I kind of jumped out, maybe spoke too soon with the UK invasion, with taking over boxing. This pandemic took me by surprise. Otherwise I would have done it if it wasn't for those crazy fucking kids, those meddling kids. I would have done it. And you just kind of, with some grace, you say, but listen, it wasn't meant to be, and we're gonna grind it out. But he doesn't say that. He proceeds to shit on the schedule, and it's got people in a tizzy. And we'll keep it moving. I love this Eddie Hearn video, this Eddie Hearn interview. I think it's gonna go fucking quadruple viral. It's got to, because it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And I hope, at the rate that I'm going, I don't know that I'll ever get to interview Eddie Hearn again. But I hope the day I do, to steal this quote from, this is Rob Tebbett. He says, I hope that Eddie matches me with the same vigor that he's had. Because, he made this interviewer dig his heels in and stay in the pocket and ask him these questions. And he even got a little snarky with him. And this is all good stuff. It's good for the game. That said, this is Dark Horse Boxing. Thank you for hanging out with me. I don't know, short one, long one. I don't know what it is. I'll be back.